When it comes to practicality, any enthusiast will tell you to buy a station wagon. It essentially gives you all the cargo carrying abilities of your SUV, but it allows you to keep the more car-like driving dynamics that you love in your sport sedan or your sport hatchback. Well, 2 years ago, Audi decided to bring over a little piece of forbidden fruit to America known as the RS6 Avant, and instantly became a lust-worthy station wagon for many enthusiasts across the world. So as you can see, this week, Audi has literally loaned me my dream spec wagon. This right here is the 2023 Audi RS6 Avant, painted in Sebring Black Crystal Pearl Effect. It has a 4-liter twin-turbo V8 under the hood, making nearly 600 horsepower, standard quattro all-wheel drive, and enough performance in this thing that you'll be able to smoke a lot of quick EVs and supercars out on the road. So if you guys have been looking for the ultimate station wagon and you have a 6-figure price tag burning in your back pocket to spend, how does the brand new 2023 Audi RS6 Avant stack up? Stay tuned to find out. Now, before we start talking about the gorgeous, sexy styling of the Audi RS6 Avant, let me show you guys what's powering this vehicle, because with Audi RS products, under the hood is basically the star of the show. And while electrification and electric vehicles are all the rage nowadays, this car has a 4-liter twin-turbocharged V8 with a 48-volt mild hybrid system. It's essentially the only way that you can get a V8 engine, an 8-cylinder engine, under the hood of the current generation A6. And it has 2 turbos configured in a hot V configuration, pumping out nearly 35 pounds of boost pressure. That's a lot of pressure, and it makes a lot of power, 591 horsepower and 590 pound-feet of torque. Now, of course, you guys have seen me review this engine before in the RS7 about 2 years ago. In the RS6, it basically makes the same power. If you guys want even more speed, Audi will be introducing an RS6 and RS7 performance variant, which basically has the boost pressure turned up to 38 PSI, increasing the power by 30 horsepower to 621. Now, quattro all-wheel drive is going to be standard. It has their torque vectoring limited slip sport differential. It's on the back end. And this vehicle sends its power to all 4 wheels through an 8-speed ZF automatic transmission with launch control. And fuel economy, well, that's rated at 14 in the city, 21 on the highway. This is hit with a $1,000 gas guzzler tax, and you have to put premium gas in it. It has roughly a 19-gallon fuel tank, so the fill-ups are going to be kind of pricey, and you should be looking at around 300 miles of range on a full tank, depending on how aggressive you want to play. Audi says performance-wise, 0 to 60 should be 3.6 seconds. It's conservative. We should be able to break that. We'll test it out when we get out on the road. And its top speed is usually 155 miles an hour. My tester with the carbon ceramic brakes increases that top speed to 190 miles an hour. And this is a relatively heavy vehicle, which it weighs in at just over 5,000 pounds. It's about 100 pounds heavier versus the RS7 sibling. But let's go ahead and close up the hood, which, as you can see, this color is absolutely stunning. It's Sebring Black Crystal Pearl Effect. It's a $1,100 charge for this color. My tester also has the carbon optics package, which blacks out a lot of the silver accents with black accents and carbon fiber splashed throughout the vehicle, which I'll point out later on. You can see the front end is the same fascia as the RS7, which this car is menacing. It looks aggressive. It looks like it's going to eat children, basically, with how many air intakes it has to help cool that engine. And this car is about 3 inches wider than the standard A6 all-road, of course, to help you with allowing those tires to fit into the wheel wells. Now, looking at the headlights, you can see these are standard Audi laser headlights. So they're full adaptive matrix LEDs with laser high beams. So at night they provide an insane amount of illumination. You have the signature Audi daytime running light with their sequential dynamic turn signals. You can see down here, there's the carbon fiber that's genuine. It's part of a $6,700 upcharge, along with carbon fiber on the front splitter. The Audi rings, you can see, are blacked out, along with the actual single frame grille, which is blacked out. Keep in mind, if you guys don't want the black accents, I would forgo adding the black optics package or the carbon optics package, and that'll give you a lot of the silver bright accents, which I personally think looks good on a lot of these performance Audis. You can see those are some of the radar sensors for the Audi adaptive cruise control that you can get with the traffic jam assistance. But overall, this color, this car, how low and wide it is from the front end, it just looks mean and aggressive. And that look basically carries over as you come around the side of the vehicle. Now, this car is built on the MLB Evo architecture. It's basically a platform that all Audis use except for the Q3 and the A3, which means you have a longitudinally mounted engine with quattro all-wheel drive. Most of them are going to be standard. You can get a front-wheel drive model on the A6, I believe, but this car here, don't even dare to compare it with like a front-wheel drive bias car like a Lexus ES or something like an Acura TLX. This is more along the lines of a BMW 5 Series or a Mercedes-Benz E-Class in the overall structure and how things are laid out. Now, looking at the wheels, you can see these wheels are frickin' massive. They're a 22-inch wheel. This is the wheel that you get with the carbon optics package. It's wrapped in a 285/30 R22 tire. My tester, Audi, has fitted with Continental winter tires because it's still a little bit cold here in the South Central PA area. This car will come with summer tires as standard. These tires are 30 series, so they're basically rubber bands. Be very careful to not hit potholes because you can pop these tires really easily if you guys aren't careful and you hit a deep, nasty pothole. You can also get a standard 21-inch wheel, which I actually don't mind the way that looks. It doesn't have the black accents, but it'll give you a 30 series tire, so a little bit more cushion. All RS6s come standard with a 16.5-inch rotor on the front with like a 15.5-inch on the rear. My tester for $8,500 includes the carbon ceramic brakes, which increases the size to 17.3 inches. Along with a 10-piston gray painted caliper. You can also get a red caliper. These are the largest production brakes that you can currently buy today. These are the same brakes that you can get on a Lamborghini Urus, and it certainly gives this car the stopping power that it needs. It also looks fantastic. I would just get the red painted calipers as opposed to the gray. The fenders, you can see, are unique to the RS6. I mentioned earlier this vehicle is about 3 inches wider than a standard A6 all-road. You can see there's carbon fiber along the mirror caps. That's part of that carbon optics package. You have integrated turn signals. This right here is all blacked out, which can be silver if you don't go for the carbon optics package or the black optics package. You can see panoramic glass roof, which opens. That's going to be standard on every version of the RS6 here in America. In other versions across the world, you can get a steel roof. I like the fact that Audi included that carbon roof. Now, looking at the side profile, just look at how sexy this car is with that long tail design. This has a 115.6-inch wheelbase. Its overall length is 196.7 inches long. Technically, the RS7, its sibling, is actually about a half an inch longer, which surprised me entirely. I thought this would be the longer vehicle, but you can see the proportions are just absolutely perfect for this car. I mean, there's not really an angle of this vehicle to my eyes where it doesn't look just absolutely freaking gorgeous. The rear of the vehicle, you can see these are the same taillights that you get on the A6 all-road. They're a dynamic turn signal, a full LED. You can see the rings and the badges here are blacked out as part of that carbon optics package. And then you have a very tasteful and subtle rear spoiler, a rear window wiper. I personally would have the windows tinted. I'm surprised that Audi doesn't have them included from the factory. That's something that I would definitely add. And then down here, you can see that carbon optics package adds carbon fiber along the rear bumper, along with these fat exhaust tips. My tester also has the sport exhaust system for $1,000, which it sounds incredible. Let me go ahead and fire it up so you can hear how it sounds. And it makes a good noise. It could be a little bit louder, but remember, this is supposed to be a luxury vehicle, so you don't want it to be too obnoxiously loud. And keep in mind that that trim piece down there will be a bright silver metallic finish if you don't go for the sport optics or the black optics or the carbon optics package, for those of you who prefer that more traditional look. Now, looking at the cargo area, again, this is where you're going to be able to sell this vehicle to your spouse because there is a power opening and retracting cargo cover here, which as you guys saw, it retracted out of the way when I opened up the cargo area. And you get around 30 cubic feet of storage space. 30 cubic feet practically matches that of a lot of compact SUVs. It's also a very nicely finished area. You can see this also allows you to kind of get stuff in very easily because it doesn't have a very high liftover. And then there is a little bit of underfloor storage underneath here. There is no spare tire, but if you fold down that seat, it does expand the cargo capacity to just under 60 cubic feet. So 60 cubic feet, again, pretty much matches that of compact SUVs. But unlike SUVs, this car is going to have the driving dynamics that you expect from a car. I also forgot to mention this car has four-wheel dynamic steering, and it also has the dynamic suspension. So instead of the air suspension, which is standard, my tester for $1,200 has that optional suspension, which is better for handling. We'll talk about that later when we go onto the driving seat. All right, so I've had enough time drooling over the exterior of this vehicle, but let's go ahead and get into the interior of this RS6 Avant. Before we do that, however, let me show you guys the key fob. You can see this is Audi's current key fob. It's a very small key. It has the RS badge here to remind you you've got a special Audi. It's got the usual lock, unlock, open up the power liftgate, and panic switch. Audi does not offer remote start in the US for some reason. They claim, from what I understand, that it's an emission law in Germany that you're not allowed to do it, but other brands like Mercedes and BMW offers it, so I call BS on Audi's part. Now you can see door handles are very much traditional. They're not electronic or digital in the way they open, but as you can see, looking at the interior, my tester has a wonderful color combination. The Sebring black with the cognac leather interior with the granite gray accented stitching. You can see these are the standard Audi sport seats. Surprisingly, these are the standard seats. I didn't have to pay extra for this, but you did have to add the executive package for $2,800 that my tester has. That is basically a requirement if you want this interior color. I love the two-tone look. These seats are also heated and ventilated. However, if you want massaging seats, it is an option that you can get, but you're gonna have to get a different seat which has an adjustable headrest, and you can only get black as the interior. So that kind of pisses me off. I really wish Audi would offer the massaging seats as standard with this kind of cognac interior. The one thing also Audi doesn't offer is like a red leather interior. I would like to see them also offer a red leather. Basically your choices is like gray, this brown cognac, and a black interior. You can see the door panel with the executive package includes extended leather on the dash, and on the door panels you have real leather stitching and real leather on this upper portion, real aluminum, and real carbon fiber trim. This is a really beautiful texture of carbon fiber with some suede Alcantara. You have metal accents for the window controls. All the windows are one touch up down. You have power folding mirrors, and really your only hard touch material is down here, which this itself is actually slightly padded. My tester for $5,000 also has the 19 speaker Bang & Olufsen stereo, which also has speakers that pop out, tweeters that pop out in the dash. I'll show you that when we start the vehicle up. But overall, the interior just makes a really wonderful first impression when you get inside. The seats also adjust in like 15 different ways. They have four-way lumbar support, but again, it would be nice to see massaging seats as standard on this particular car. Now getting inside, of course, it's going to have that lower step-in height. It's not an SUV, which I find really refreshing. As I get in and shut the door, the executive package includes a soft close door, so you just have to click the door and it'll close it the rest of the way for you. But if you shut it yourself, the door has a really nice solid sounding thunk, which adds to that impression of quality, as it should for a six-figure price tag vehicle. Now getting inside, you can see the dashboard is practically identical to the RS7 and a lot of other Audi products, especially in the A6 range, although you have some real carbon fiber there. The start-stop button is down here by the shifter. When you push that, you can hear the tweeters popped up in the dash, and the engine just kind of whirs to life. It's got that 48-volt mild hybrid system, so you don't necessarily hear the engine. You can also push this RS button here and it'll instantly make the exhaust louder, which you can kind of customize that, and it also customizes the look of the gauge display. You can also change the way that looks to be kind of a sport display. This is the traditional display with the twin dials with the GPS function, which we'll talk about that in just a moment. I love the flat bottom wheel, which includes a power tilt telescoping function. It's got the RS badge here. You can also get an Alcantara wheel, but I would stick to the leather. You have these metal accented paddles, which are a little bit lame. They're a little puny, and I wish they kind of stayed in place. Like, for example, Alfa does amazing paddles on the wheel, but they do respond very quickly to your input when you're using them. The wheel itself also offers a good amount of adjustability with its tilt and telescoping, power adjustments, and then the horn sounds good. It doesn't sound puny. It sounds appropriate given the size of this vehicle. And then looking at the dash here, you can see you have the same beautiful leather stitching, which is extended from the door panel onto the dash. Genuine carbon fiber here, or aluminum trim. This Quattro logo here lights up at night. It has interchangeable ambient lighting, which also looks great at night. Not quite as intricate as Mercedes or the latest BMWs, but Audi still does a good job there as well. And then you have their infotainment system here where you have 3 different screens. This is not a touchscreen, this is their virtual cockpit display, which is now in their 2nd generation. You can see, you can adjust that, and you can show the Google Earth display. You can show your different trip computer functions. You can also switch this and change it to a sport display or a reduced display where you can again see all your engine data, your tire pressure information, your G meter. You can see when I floored this car earlier, I got 1.12 of Gs, which again, that shows how freaking fast this car is. You can also put your audio information, and there's also a night vision camera for $2,500 that my tester has. It works fine, but I probably personally would skip that option. This display here looks great. And then as you guys saw when I pushed the RS button here, it changes the display to a sport display where you have like this tack that looks like tire marks along with all your usual sport displays there. And then you can hear the exhaust got louder, which is nice. Over here on the infotainment side, you can see you have a 10.1-inch display here and an 8.6-inch display here. Now, it's a 2-screen layout, which again, some manufacturers have done in the past and I've complained about. Audi does it here and it works okay. It looks fine as well. You can see this is where you're going to be accessing your wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It also includes embedded GPS, which if you click that, it's basically the same GPS function that we saw from over here in the screen, where you can also put it over here in this screen here, and you can also technically have both if you want to have 2 displays. Audi will allow you to do that by, again, cycling here. You can have 2 different GPS displays. This is Google Earth. It looks great. It's basically the same thing you find on your computer, but most of you are probably going to use the Apple CarPlay function, which you can see when I have that pulled up. It's really quick and snappy. My phone pretty much paired every time that I connect it to this car, which is nice. Down here on this smaller 8.6-inch display, you can adjust your climate functions, your heated and cooled seat functions. You can also access a few shortcut buttons over here. You can turn off your auto start stop, and then you can also adjust the climate here, which kind of will put some functions up there when you start going into different menus. And then you have a few touch sensitive buttons here. This controls your Audi Drive Select here for your drive modes. You can see Audi offers comfort, automatic, and dynamic, along with an RS1 and an RS2, where you can customize how you want the driving feel for this vehicle to be. RS1 I kind of had as my individual setting. If you go into this mode here, you can also go to vehicle. You can show an RS monitor here, which it'll tell you how the temperature of the engine, the brakes, the tires, and whatnot, etc. are going to be. It shows your G meter there. This is all really useful if you plan to track your car. I'm not entirely sure how many will actually do that. You have an actual volume knob here with a tuning kind of wheel where you kind of click it forward and back, or to the left or the right, to adjust the station. This controls the 8-speed automatic transmission. When I put the vehicle into reverse, you can see full 360 camera. It's standard even on the base version of the RS6. This comes really well equipped. I also love the 3D top-down view where you can literally do a perimeter scan around the vehicle. I would have liked if this was actually the same color as your car with the same wheels, but I love the graphics. I love how smooth and quick and snappy it is. This also has automatic parallel parking and whatnot. My tester also has the driver assistance package that includes full speed range adaptive cruise control with traffic jam assistance, which all works well. You have piano black plastic trim over here, cup holders. There isn't very much in terms of storage in this vehicle. All you have basically is this little cup holder. And if you open this up, you can see there's your wireless phone charging pad. It's got a relatively shallow center console storage area with, you can see, 2 USB-C charging ports. The reason why it's so shallow is because the transmission and the front differential are housed in the same housing, so it forces this to be a little bit, you know, bigger here to make room, and higher up to make room for those mechanicals, of course. The seats, as you can see, are covered in this really beautiful Napa leather. They're comfortable and supportive, although I'm surprised to say that you cannot adjust these bolsters on the lower and on the back bolster. A lot of other sporty cars allow you to do that, but Audi doesn't. You have a manual thigh extender cushion here, which these seats, they hold you in place nicely. The headrests don't adjust, but again, you'll have a different seat if you go for the massaging seat option, which I haven't had a chance to try out yet. But for somebody of wider frame, you can fit into it. For somebody skinnier like myself, I found that I wanted the seats to hug me a little bit more, which I wish Audi allowed for the adjustability. Open up the glove box, you can see it's a pretty big glove box. It's stamped and it's lined with felt, so it does offer a little bit of storage there. Audi doesn't offer a digital camera rearview mirror, which I would have liked to see, but you can see it is an auto dimming rearview mirror. You can also see out of it really well out of the back. You can see LED map lighting over the roof. For $3,000 extra, my tester also has the Alcantara roof, and you can see there is a panoramic glass roof that also opens up and tilts, which is nice. And you also have a power retractable shade for when you don't want the sun beating down on you. So overall, the interior is about what I expect. It has all the tech and luxury features that buyers in this price class are going to expect. The Bang & Olufsen stereo also sounds amazing. If you guys are an audiophile, check the 5,000 bucks for that, because it is one of the best sounding stereos that I've heard in the industry. But overall, this car's interior is comfortable, it's well made, it smells nice in here, and it just gives you that feeling of specialness and luxury. Maybe not from a tech perspective, from a build quality perspective, it's right up there with the best of the class. Now, checking out the back seat, this is a vehicle that you could potentially sell to your spouse because of the big trunk space, and the back seat also offers around 37.5 inches of legroom. This is about a half an inch more than the RS7, and I believe you also get around 2 inches more headroom because of it doesn't have that sloping roof line like you get in the RS7. So getting back here, somebody my height, I'm 5'7", I can get back here and get very comfortable. Now, keep in mind, this is about the same legroom as you're gonna find in like a compact SUV, like a CR-V or a RAV4. A mid-size SUV will have a little bit more, but still, this is a ton of space. As I get in and shut the door has a soft close function, but it also sounds really nice when you shut it. You have 4-zone automatic climate control. That's standard. Mercedes charges you extra for 3-zone in the E63s, and you also have heated rear seats back here, which is nice. No cooled rear seats, but you have 2 USB charging ports, a 12-volt, and you also have rear seat air vents here and rear seat air vents here on the B pillar. You have, again, the beautiful suede Alcantara that continues throughout the back. These seats, obviously, they fold down if you'd like, but they do not have a recline function. That's something that you will find on some SUVs. Love the way that Audi carried over the beautiful seats and the stitching onto the rear. There is a large center tunnel hump here, of course, because you need room for that rear drive shaft. You have 2 storage cubbies, and then you have the same beautiful leather and stitched materials with carbon fiber on the door panel. This is also a soft touch injection molded plastic. Audi also has these sunshades, which are standard. This is optional on the E63s. This is very necessary for a vehicle like this, but I wish that Audi just made the windows tinted as standard. There's also a nice little armrest that folds down here that gives you a little bit of storage, and it also gives you 2 cup holders here that pop out, which is definitely nice. So overall, if you want to put like a child seat back here, or your adults that are probably under 6 feet, I mean, a 6-foot person could fit back here as well. The RS6 Avant certainly can do that if you actually need to put people and stuff in this vehicle. So as a long-standing enthusiast, I can proudly and confidently say, if you are looking for a practical vehicle, don't get an SUV, get a wagon. And today I have the privilege of being able to drive literally my dream wagon. Not necessarily my dream spec'd out wagon, but my dream wagon, a 600 horsepower RS6 Avant. It's been on the market in the US for almost 2 years now, which is crazy to think. There's a performance version coming, which this one is not, but the last time I drove this powertrain spec, I was in the RS7, which I loved at times, but I always just kept thinking the RS6 was the one that I would go for if I was gonna spend, and it also happens to be about $2,000 cheaper. Now, when I first drove this car 2 years ago, I didn't get a chance to 0 to 60 test it because I didn't have my equipment. So now that we do have the equipment, I've got this car here, I've got an empty road, I've got a full tank of gas, we have it in RS2 mode, which of course is gonna be the mode to give you the best acceleration. And let's go ahead and try out the launch control, which is really easy to do. You floor the brake and the accelerator. Ooh! Oh, Jesus. Whoa! 3.18 seconds, which I expected that number to be faster than Audi's claim, which they say 3.6, 3.5. You do have to let the boost build to get the launch control to activate, but it'll tell you that in the display here. And I expected this car to be fast, but oof, like it is freaking amazing. I mean, that time is quick. I mean, it's going to keep up with some supercars, a lot of really fast EVs. This is actually quicker versus like a Tesla Model 3 Performance or a Kia EV6 GT, which, I mean, for half the price, it's insane. You can get what kind of speed you can get, but none of them quite have the feel of this car, which I particularly love. Let's go ahead and try it again just because I want to, and want to see what I can get on this run here. Oh! 3.16 there, and that's with it more going uphill. So we're gonna try it up again up ahead and see, because I think this thing could break into the low 3s. I don't know about sub 3 seconds, but what's crazy to me is Audi has a performance version coming for 2024. They haven't confirmed it in the US, but they did reveal it for Europe. It has 30 more horsepower and nearly 40 more pound-feet of torque. They say it shaves a couple ticks off that time, but oh my God, this car is amazing to me because it truly has that dual personality. It's a 5,000-pound long roof wagon that has as much cargo room as most compact to mid-size SUVs, yet it just gives you the kind of tunnel vision that you expect from a supercar. I mean, I had a Corvette Stingray, the C8, which that car took 3.5 seconds to get to 60. So yes, you can buy a wagon that seats 5 comfortably, that has room for all your crap, and it will smoke the current generation Corvette C8. Now, granted, if you try to race a Z06 Corvette or that new E-Ray, it's gonna lose, but this thing just is redefining what you expect from any kind of vehicle, and it also just defies the laws of physics. It's shocking to me how insanely good to drive this car is. And my tester has the dynamic suspension, the adaptive dynamic suspension. So it removes the air suspension. Oh, and that torque vectoring sport differential, it allows the vehicle to put up to 85% of the torque, the power, to the rear wheels to give this thing a rear wheel drive feel. It'll primarily do like a 70-30 front to rear, or I'm sorry, it can do a 70-30, but it also will do a 70-30 with more power going to the rear. Let's try it again right here because I want to see if I can break into the threes or the twos. Oh, all 4 tires are scrambling for grip. All right, 3.14 seconds, which this thing is just absolutely bonkers. I love this performance power, this powertrain. That 8-speed ZF automatic, just quick and smooth shifts. That sport exhaust from that my tester has for $1,000 also is worth every penny. What's amazing is you can get a wagon to get the tail to step out. It's just unbelievable, unfreaking believable. Let's get it out of RS mode. Let's just put it into dynamic mode because this is the mode that you're probably going to end up daily driving it in a lot. I will say that the ride quality is definitely firm. I had a chance to drive the RS7 2 years ago, which had the air suspension. Ooh, listen to those cracks in purple. Sorry, I got a little distracted. I can't help myself. But anyways, the ride quality of the optional dynamic suspension system with the cross-link dampers. In sport mode, you definitely notice this thing feels firm. In fact, the whole personality of the car just changes in sport mode. The suspension gets nice and firm. The steering gets sharper. This has the dynamic steering. It's got 4-wheel active steering, which is standard. And this car just changes direction with authority. The 5,000-pound weight just shrinks when you put it in dynamic mode and start attacking your favorite back road. And what's shocking is these 22-inch wheels. I'm on winter tires right now, which the ride quality is still doable in dynamic mode, but you definitely notice a difference. I would definitely stay clear of potholes because I got a flat tire in the RS7 2 years ago when I hit a pothole in these same size wheels with these similar Continental winter tires, and it's just not fun. I want to switch the drive mode, however, to comfort because this is where everything changes. The baffle and the exhaust closes. The ride gets so comfortable. And it just gets so quiet. This thing just essentially turns into an A6 or an A6 all-road. It has a smooth ride quality. The exhaust gets super quiet. The steering gets light. But that's the other thing I want to mention. The dynamic steering Audi has improved over the years to where it actually gives you decent heft. Not really much in terms of road feel, but it gives you kind of that playfulness that I want in a performance car. Audis have always had that numb front end, and it has understeer because of the front end that is a little heavy because of the engine sitting over the front axle. But in this mode here in comfort, it has that dual personality. It feels like a luxury car, but then the beauty is you just click this RS button here and everything changes. The exhaust gets louder, the suspension gets stiffer. It's just insane how different this car has. It has that dual personality, and that's what you pay for when you buy a 6-figure vehicle like this. Now, I do want to briefly mention the fuel economy that I've been getting, and in my week's worth of testing, I've put a good amount of miles on this car. I love this thing. It'll do about 14 mpg in the city. That's what I was getting in my testing. When I was really driving it hard, it was doing around 12 mpg, so you're looking at around 300 miles on a full tank, and this is a 20-gallon gas tank on premium. On the highway, I did get it up to around 19. That's a little bit short of the 21 that the EPA says this will get. Now, my tester is fairly new. It needs to be broken in a little bit more. It has like almost 900 miles on it. So I suspect if you have a lighter foot, you drive this vehicle more, conservatively. It has active cylinder management. It has that 48-volt mild hybrid system, which means it might come to a stop, it'll shut off the engine and restart very seamlessly. But overall, the seats are comfortable, it's quiet, the visibility in here is good. Audi's driver assistance tech isn't quite as up to par as what you get from the hands-off systems that I've tested in BMWs and current Mercedes. Audi is working on that for approval in the US. They have it in Europe, but they don't have it quite yet in the US here. But overall, oh my God, as the ultimate daily driver performance vehicle that just happens to be damn practical, you just can't get better than this. And again, if you want something like this, really only Audi, Porsche, and Mercedes offer an option. And I think the RS6 Avant is probably my favorite. So after spending a full week with quite literally my dream family vehicle, it's pretty hard to not get excited about driving a 2023 Audi RS6 Avant for a full week. And keep in mind, guys, I drive a lot of quick, fancy, expensive cars, and this car literally took my breath away. I knew this car would be good to drive, but actually spending a week with it, it basically met or exceeded my expectations, which is big because this car is not cheap. Obviously, if you're going to buy something like this, it's going to cost you a pretty penny. In terms of gripes with the vehicle, I'm struggling to find gripes other than the fact that it's darn expensive. As you guys saw, 0 to 60 in 3.1 seconds is insanely fast. I mean, there's a performance version coming that's going to be even quicker. Looking forward to driving that. The handling of this vehicle just is so interchangeable. You can go from a comfortable luxury car in comfort mode and then switch it into RS2 mode, and it literally turns into a sports car with the way the steering feels, the way the suspension changes, the way the ride quality also goes from soft to very firm with the touch of a button. The practicality aspect is amazing. I mean, you guys saw the back seat can actually carry adults. You could also put child seats in the back seats. The cargo area is as big as a lot of compact SUVs like a Toyota RAV4. And you guys want to put stuff on the roof, it already has the roof rails there that allows you to do that. The interior tech is definitely starting to get a little bit old, but it still works really well. Audi is working on a next generation for their infotainment software, but this still feels very modern. This car just looks really good. It's a car that's going to age really well. You're going to look at this car 10, 20 years down the road, and it's going to become a collector's item. And that's precisely why, if you want to buy one of these things, they are damn expensive. And when this car first came out in the US about 2 years ago, it started at just over $110,000. Well, I'm sad to say that Audi has increased the price of this car by $10,000 in 2 years. Last year, they jumped it up by about $4 grand, but this car now starts at $121,900, which is about $2,000 less expensive versus the RS7. Remember, the sibling vehicle to this car. Now, my tester, with all of the fancy options that it has, like the carbon ceramic brakes for $8,500, the executive package, the upgraded stereo that this one also comes with, the carbon exterior package that my tester has, which is like $7,000, $1,100 for the color, destination charge and whatnot, the Bang & Olufsen stereo, which I would highly recommend if you guys are an audiophile. This model here comes into just over $158,000, 158 grand. You might as well sell a kidney or your firstborn because it's darn expensive. But hey, if you guys can afford that hefty price tag, what you're essentially going to get is the ultimate family vehicle that also will happen to become a collector's car that you'll get a ton of respect from enthusiasts out there, and you'll also just have a huge smile on your face every time you get behind the wheel. Now, of course, you could also buy the Mercedes-AMG E63S Wagon, which is thankfully available in the US again. I had a chance to drive the sedan, not the Wagon, but me personally, I prefer the styling of the Audi along with the interior, so my money would go toward this vehicle easily. But with all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on this gorgeous wagon, the 2023 Audi RS6 Avant. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.